I'm literally not going to edit anything out. So anything you say is
Really?
going to be in the video.
You're not going to edit anything out?
Just one shot. We're just doing it.
So you're not going to edit out the thing about how. Wait, you're really not going to edit that out? Can you please edit
Nope.
that out?
Damn it. I warned you already. It's too late.
Just start a new recording. We can't have that in the video, dude. They're going to think we're serious. And another thing is, it's like in the first 5 seconds. Like everyone will see it. You have to start it over. Oh, you have Rafi's t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm repping Westerly Sound.
Me and Rafi are finishing up our book. I got to send you one of the chapters that we finished.
Awesome.
Are we still recording?
Yeah, I'll just start over.
So don't talk about.
I'm not starting the recording again. That's it. That's how we're starting.
No, you have to edit that out.
Okay, so I have what I think is a pretty exciting topic today. We've been working in 3D printing for a long time, and like I feel like it's pretty crazy to see where things are right now compared to where we started.
When we first started 3D printing, it was, I want to say 13 years ago. And at that point, we were working with extremely high quality machines that were easily $200,000, $300,000, $1 million. And, they were really nice consumer grade parts, but these were printers that essentially took up an entire room.
And then we had a Ultimaker Cubic in our office. I think it was like $5,000, but that was like a prosumer FDM machine.
We bought it and we thought it was just going to be plug and play. It took us hours to even get a single print. And on top of that, it broke on us. We had to order these parts, replacement parts. We attempted to print like a couple of dozen different designs and parts, and I think only a couple of them even worked. And it was just this huge time suck.
And since then, 3D Systems has completely abandoned consumer stuff. And then I've built like rep wrap machines in the past. So you could get like a kit for $100 and assemble it yourself, like fry all the boards while you were building it and have to buy another set and then, finally get it running and then print a piece of like junk. In the past several years, there's been all these little developments that people have been doing. Basically, there was this movement called the rep wrap movement. The concept was to make a 3D printer that can 3D print new 3D printers. And that kind of broke off into a bunch of different branches of concepts. And some of those turned into their own businesses, like MakerBot and Prusa. They were productized for consumers, but they still took a lot of assembly and a lot of work to get them going. And then there's been an influx from China of all these new iterations. So the prices have come way down, mostly from value engineering.
And now we're here today, and you can get these desktop 3D printers for like $200. And it's a pretty exciting time because of that, because now we all kind of have this power to prototype. It's pretty accessible, especially relative to where it was even 5-10 years ago. Hold on, yeah. My wife. Get out of here. I'm changing the world. Also, put on headphones. Your shit's loud. I love you. Mark, where'd you go? See this? See this? Look, do you see what's on my screen?
What is that?
That's a sloth on top of a llama. See that? See that?
Yeah.
It's you and me, buddy.
Which one's the sloth?
Probably you. I feel like I'm more llama-like in my overall temperament and just facial features.
It'd probably be hard for me to carry you on my shoulders.
These are two separate things, but I cleverly realized, wait, they go together. That's important to note. They are separate little rubber toys, but with their powers combined, they create this little thing.
I don't know why it didn't phase me. Like, I just assumed, of course, somebody's manufacturing sloths that ride llamas.
Yeah, I was kind of alarmed by how jaded you were by that.
Anyway, so this past year, there were two different printers that came out that I think are pretty game-changing. There are a couple of companies and they actually are surprisingly in China, which I wouldn't expect.
Wait, why wouldn't you expect it to be from China?
I think there's a lot of cultural context that you need to have when you're selling a product. Most of these consumers are in the Western world. I mean, as an industrial designer, we have to understand the user. And when you have a completely different culture and you're on the other side of the planet, it's pretty hard to get those product requirements and get the feedback and create something that's applicable. So you see weird stuff. This company, Kingroon, that we're going to talk about, their Instagram is like a perfect example.
I don't know if I've noticed anything that's tone deaf about it, but it's just weird.
It's weird because there's like a cultural chasm between like the customers that they're trying to promote to and the people that work there.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it. You hate Chinese people, so anything that they do is bad, is what you're saying.
There's two big things that happened in the past year. One of them is the Bamboo Labs Carbon, and that is out of the box, fully functional, and has a whole lot of features that make it more consumer grade. And then this is kind of the value approach. You can get the lower model for $160, and then this particular model is the KP3S Pro S1 edition, which has some upgrades that I'll talk about. And this thing prints fantastically.
Say I'll take it out of the box.
I'll take it out of the box.
Take it out of the box.
Are you ready, John?
Just take it out of the box. Take it out of the box.
Are you ready?
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. I was born ready. I was ready for this. My whole life I've been ready for this. This is my whole life right here, happening right before our very eyes. Here it goes. The Kingroon, packing size 51, 44, 18 centimeters. Is that right? Yeah, I guess it's about right. Wait, go back to the other side. I want to look at the icons. We got icons. We got a rain umbrella. We got an eagle on a piece of paper. We got somebody holding a book. We got some arrows going up. We got the number 6, and we got the recycle icon. Here we go. Opening it up.
Oh, another good example, John. Like, this is a fused deposition molding 3D printer.
Is that wrong?
Yeah, it's fused deposition modeling.
Hold on. Oh my God, you're right. It is fused deposition modeling. I had no idea. Dude, I just had like a fucking Nelson Mandela moment.
I didn't think that you could actually use that term. I thought that was a proprietary term, FDM. Maybe that's why they did it. I'm pretty sure it's just a typo. So, okay, let's see if this will. I planned the shot so we can see the side of the box, but I didn't figure this part out. I'll probably cut in like assembly. I have like better assembly footage.
You're doing great.
So I already unpacked this once, but you got your instruction book, and then everything is really well packed.
What's that shiny flat thing? Is that the print bed?
That's a build plate. This is a glass build plate that it comes with. And then I also got an upgrade to a magnetic build plate. I'm gonna just take this stuff out because it's gonna be tough to do this without destroying something if I like hold it up. But it comes mostly assembled, and it's got a bunch of other little goodies in here that I'll show you.
Whoa, look at that. That's a printer.
I'm gonna slide this in here. Yeah, that's the printer.
How do the graphics on the front make you feel?
The first thing I'm gonna do before I start using this is cover those with vinyl.
Really?
Yes.
They look cool. It's like an angry eye, an angry predator's eyes. I disagree with that choice. I just want to make that very clear. I think it's freaking cool.
This one's a little cooler than the other model. The lower model has a different graphic. And it has the power supply on the outside. It's kind of neat, but it's just not my style, I guess. I don't, it's like all of the superfluous like motorcycle. It looks like a motorcycle decal.
No, I know. I'm only being about half serious.
I think it could be worse. The other model is definitely worse.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks like the the back of a Mustang.
But basically you just have like 6 screws to get this thing together. Yeah, it's a little bit more than that, I guess. So like you can see I still have to do some stuff, which is fine, like, but it's not something that like your friend is gonna do or like your mom is gonna do. Like this is not like an HP printer, you know.
What if my friends are like you and you're doing it as we're friends, right? Are we friends? I think we're friends.
Crap. I kind of need help.
For anybody who's confused, Mark meant like your friends, because your friends probably don't construct 3D printers, but my friends do, as exhibited right now.
Most of my friends don't. But this, like, in comparison to like uh other ones that I put together, where you literally have to like trim your own wires and like do soldering, or at the very least connect all the circuit boards together. Um, this is like this is a massive improvement. A couple things that are relevant to me personally. One is a lot of these pieces are like off the shelf parts, so they're easily replaced and repaired. This is standard 80/20 aluminum, which we use for like robotics and manufacturing stuff. It's like a precision extrusion, like modular system. And then it has these linear rails, which are also standard sizing, like all this stuff you can get on like McMaster-Carr or from like Alibaba. So the big thing, like the reason that people are excited about this printer at this price point is these linear rails. A lot of the printers work on different system where they have wheels and like a carriage that rolls along the track of the 80/20 aluminum if they use 80/20, or they just have different ways of like different carriage systems. This has a lot more precision. It doesn't wobble as much, which translates to like less wobble in the path of the plastic when it's extruding. And so you can get a higher precision part. And this S1 model, the difference is that it has linear rails on every axis.
What does it all mean?
I just explained it. Pull the sweater, Derek.
What's that?
This is an auger that drives this just controls everything up and down, front to back, side to side. It's basically just a glorified hot glue gun. Puts plastic in and squirts it out on the bed in layers until you've got a plastic part.
That's the plastic squirting out. That's the plastic squirting out, Mark. Mark, that's the plastic.
Thanks for the demonstration.
You want to do one?
I mean, this is pretty much it. I can check last
Wait,
time I did it.
so are you going to talk about, are you going to do one of the sound effects? Dude, how come you didn't laugh at the way that I did it? The way you did it is so funny. Is it because you have no sense of humor, or is it because the way that you did it actually is a lot funnier?
Oh, it's because I'm dead inside. No, I was just distracted. I've got it. I've got it together. That was easy. What is that? You know why it's beeping?
Why?
Because there's no filament in it. Because I didn't load the filament.
Lol.
You're embarrassing me, printer. This is a nightmare. What I did here is very stupid.
It's doing it.
Oh no.
Oh. I have a question. What is the success rate for all of these 3D print?
I haven't had a failed print that wasn't my fault, like user error, you would argue. And people use these for print farms, so they'll have like 20 of these just printing round the clock.
Yeah, I actually know this guy who has one of those. He has like several dozen print farms and he has a bunch of really fast 3D printers, and he is approaching cost parity with some injection molded parts. Pretty crazy. But yeah, it's definitely kind of interesting what's going on with 3D printing. There's some big things happening fast.
So when we first started FDM, the most common was ABS plastic, which was really noxious and like had a lot of issues with like curling and would pull itself off the bed. Now what's most common is actually like a bioplastic, PLA, which doesn't shrink as much and is really easy to print with. You can use a lot better plastics, but the setup gets more complicated. You have to deal with cooling and stuff like that. You can print polyamide now on an FDM machine.
Yeah, I've noticed that. My buddy has a bamboo, and I'm pretty sure that they have nylon or polyamide. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing, man. It's kind of incredible, especially in the last couple years. Man, all the kids at school, they own 3D printers. Like all the students, they own their own 3D printers. And then even if they don't, or if they need an extra one, the like CCA will rent out 3D printers to you. There's like a wall of like 30 of them in the school, and you can just rent it out for a day or two to get your stuff made. It's pretty incredible
What
because it
model
just
is
makes
that?
it's like a reality something.
Oh yeah, it's the Ender 3. That's is where the bottom hit. Like that is the cheapest thing you can buy that works pretty much out of the box.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, man. And it's funny because I have such a bias sort of getting started with 3D printing at a time where just nothing worked. It was so frustrating. So then when I see like a $200 3D printer now, I'm immediately just incredibly skeptical, and it's very hard for me to get past it. I feel like I have to spend like 20 grand to get a good 3D printer. And I know that's not true intellectually, but just emotionally, I just can't get past it.
No, I totally agree. That's why I thought it was worth showing this thing because you get good prints.